Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like over on Prizepicks for the Week 9 NFL slate on Sunday. Going to give out 3 plays I like over on Prizepicks for these Sunday games. Going to specifically just focus on kind of the main slate of games. We're not going to talk about Monday Night Football yet. I'll have a separate video out for Monday Night Football, which will probably get posted late Sunday night. So if you do want props for Monday Night Football, again, I'll have a separate video for that. It'll go out, probably Sunday night. We're going to talk about 3 plays, though, that I do like for the NFL slate of games on Sunday, guys, for the Week 9 slate. We're going to break them down, share why I like these plays like we always do. Now, before we do get started, make sure you guys hit that like button down below if you do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. Also, if you guys are new to Prizepicks and if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up, use promo code NOAH, and when you sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and place your first lineup, you'll instantly get $50 in promo funds added to your account. It's a new promotion Prizepicks is running. You deposit, sign up deposit $10. That's all you want to put in. You place a $5 lineup, and Prizepicks will give you $50 in promo funds that you can then use to play additional lineups. And then, any money you win off those lineups is credit that you can choose to withdraw if you want to do so. But be sure to go check out Prizepicks, guys, and make sure to use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up. And we do also have a partnership with Sleeper, so I do want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper. If you guys want to sign up for Sleeper, you can do so as well using promo code NOAH, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. You put in $100, Sleeper will match that, and they'll give you an additional $100 to play with. And for those of you that don't know what Sleeper is, they're a DFS pick'em app similar to Prizepicks, where you're just picking more or less on player projections. You're building out your entry. You can make up to an 8-pick entry on Sleeper. You can mix and match sports, and you can win up to 100x your money. So if you guys want to check out Sleeper, make sure to sign up, deposit, use that code NOAH to get your first deposit matched up to $100. But yeah, guys, we got 3 plays to talk about for the Week 9 NFL slate. Let's go ahead and break them down. So the first prop that I like for Sunday's games is going to be a prop on Bo Nix, and I'm liking Bo Nix for more than 215.5 pass yards. So you look at Bo Nix's recent games, he's only gone over this line, 2 out of his last 5 games for what it's worth. But if you look more into these games, these are all games that the Broncos won. They won the game against the Saints where he went under. They won that game 33-10. It was not a game where they really had to throw the ball much. Bo Nix only had 26 pass attempts in that game. He barely went under the game against the Raiders, but that was another game they won by 16 points. Bo Nix only had 27 pass attempts. He had a really bad game against the Jets, very tough matchup, had 25 pass attempts, but that was also a game they won. It was a very low-scoring game. They won 10-9. But if you look at their losses this season, in their 3 losses, Bo Nix has had 138, 246, and 216 pass yards. So he's over this line in 2 out of their 3 losses this season. And the game he went under was Week 1 against Seattle. He still had 42 pass attempts in that game. So we've kind of seen in game scripts where the Broncos get behind, they will let Bo Nix go out there and throw the ball a bunch. In their losses this season, he's had 42, 35, and 33 pass attempts. And this is a spot on the road against the Ravens where it does set up as a game script where the Broncos are likely to be playing from behind. They're 9.5-point road underdogs in this game. You can look at Bo Nix's pass attempts line for this week, and it's set at 33.5. So clearly the sportsbooks are expecting Bo Nix to have a decent amount of pass attempts here. And in games where Bo Nix has had at least 30 pass attempts this season, he's had 138, 246, 216, 216, and 284 pass yards. So he's over this line in 4 out of 5 games with at least 30 pass attempts. It's a really good matchup, too. I mean, the Ravens, defensively, you would think the Ravens are kind of a stout defensive team, but the way you've been able to beat the Ravens this year has been through the air. The Ravens have been very vulnerable against the pass. They've been one of the biggest pass funnels. They're a very tough team to run on, but they're a very easy team to beat through the air. And they're actually giving up the most passing yards to quarterbacks this season. And if you look at what quarterbacks have done against the Ravens, a lot of guys have had success through the air against the Ravens. Patrick Mahomes threw for 291 yards. Gardner Minshew, 276. Dak Prescott, 379. Josh Allen, 180. Joe Burrow, 392. Jaden Daniels, 269. Baker Mayfield, 370. Jameis Winston, 334. So the only quarterback to face the Ravens this season that did not go over this pass yards line was Josh Allen. And even if you look at the quarterbacks that did go over, they went over this line by a lot. Like every quarterback has had at least 269 pass yards in a game versus the Ravens, except for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen only had 180, but also he only threw the ball 29 times, so it wasn't like he was throwing the ball a ton. To put it clearly, the Ravens have been very vulnerable against the pass. Teams have been able to have a lot of success throwing the ball against the Ravens. This sets up as a game script where the Broncos are likely to be playing from behind. And in those type of game scripts, I think we got a pretty good chance of getting 216 pass yards from Bo Nix. And I was looking at some sports books. I think DraftKings has this line up to 220.5. So I think we're getting a little bit of a softer line here on Prizepicks at 215.5. Even if this line does get bumped up a few yards, I would still play it. I think this is a really good play. I don't even mind taking Bo Nix over pass attempts too. Because again, in losses this season, Nix typically has to throw the ball a lot more. This projects to be a loss for the Broncos. So you could play this as well, but I'm going to side with the pass yards prop for Bo Nix, and that'll be our first prop for Sunday. Now, the next prop I like is a Nick Chubb prop, and I'm liking Nick Chubb for more than 52.5 rush yards. So we've only seen Nick Chubb play in 2 games this season. He has gone under this line in both games. You got to look a little bit more into it, though. So the first game he played against the Bengals, he didn't play a ton of snaps in that game. He did get 11 carries, but he did not have a full workload. It was his first game back from injury. And in that game, Nick Chubb played on, 36% of the snaps. So he played 30 offensive snaps in his first game back from injury against the Bengals, had 22 yards. Last week against the Ravens, his snap share really increased. He played on 61% of the offensive snaps last week against the Ravens, had 52 rush yards, and that was a very, very tough matchup. I mean, the Ravens have been probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest team to run on this season. Again, they've been a major pass funnel. The way you beat the Ravens is through the air, not on the ground. So I think this is definitely a spot where we're going to see Nick Chubb just continue to get more volume. Last week he got, 16 carries. The week before that he got 11 carries. I don't think Nick Chubb's going to get like 20 carries here, but if the game script plays out where the Browns are playing with the lead, which now that they have Jameis Winston, their offense looks a lot better, and they've been able to move the ball down the field a lot better. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a game that the Browns do get a lead and they can kind of feed the ball to Nick Chubb. It's a 1.5 point spread though, so it projects to be kind of a neutral game script. And with Nick Chubb starting to see more playing time, starting to see more volume on the ground, I think we're going to see him be able to get 53 rush yards here. I mean, his rush attempts prop for this week is set at 13. You could also take the over on that because I think that looks pretty solid as well. More than 13 rush attempts. But I think there's a good chance Nick Chubb's going to be able to average 4 yards per carry. If he gets 13 carries, I like our chances of getting 53 yards. But if you think he's not going to be as efficient on the ground, you could definitely take rush attempts. I mean, so far he hasn't been super efficient on the ground. He's only averaging like 3 yards per carry. If you want to take rush attempts instead of rush yards, that's fine. But I expect the volume to be there for Chubb. It's starting to go. His volume's starting to increase. The playing time's increasing. The matchup here against the Chargers, I don't think it's like the greatest. If you look at the Chargers' stats this season against the run, they've actually been pretty good against the run this season. But I'm betting on the volume here for Chubb, the opportunity, and I think more times than not he comes away with 53 rush yards, especially if he gets like 13 or 14 carries, which I think he's got a pretty good chance of getting here. So I do like that as our second prop for Sunday. And then the third and final prop that I like is going to be a Alexander Mattison prop. And I like Alexander Mattison for more than 11.5 fantasy score. So Alexander Mattison has kind of taken over as the starting running back for the Raiders. Coming into this season, it was expected to be Zamir White as the starter with Mattison kind of backing him up. But then Zamir White, started off the season playing very poorly, and then he got injured. And Mattison has kind of taken over as the clear lead back for the Ravens, or not the Ravens, the Raiders. And if you just kind of look at the snaps so far this season, so in their last 4 games, you've seen Mattison play on 57%, 68%, 70%, and 66% of the offensive snaps. And their last 2 games have been with Zamir White. So Zamir White was out week 5 and week 6. In those games, Mattison played on 57% and 68% of the offensive snaps. But even the last 2 games, Zamir White has returned, and Mattison has still had a clear control of this backfield. 70% of the offensive snaps, 66% of the offensive snaps. Last week, Zamir White only played 2 snaps. So I think Zamir White has kind of just been phased out of this backfield, and now it's kind of Alexander Mattison as the RB1 here. And Mattison has had a really good role. Like, you look at his usage and his volume, he's getting plenty of opportunity on the ground, and he's also getting usage in the passing game. And when you take an over on a player's fantasy score, especially for Prizepicks, for a running back's fantasy score, you want running backs that do have ability to catch passes, because on Prizepicks, you do get a point per reception for fantasy score. So when you get running backs that can catch 4, 5, 6 balls, it's just going to make their fantasy score upside so much higher. Last week, Mattison did not have much success on the ground. He only had 15 rush yards, but he had 5 catches for 29 yards, so he still was able to put up a decent, not a great fantasy game, but I mean, he had 9.4 fantasy points last week with only 15 rush yards. The week before that, he was much more efficient against the Rams, had 23 carries for 92 yards, also had 3 catches for 31 yards. The game against Pittsburgh, had 33 rush yards and a touchdown, also had 5 catches for 32 yards. So, you're getting Madison not only getting 12 to 15 carries, but he's also getting 4, 5, 6 targets. So, the role is really, really good here for Alexander Madison. The matchup against the Bengals, I think, is also good. The Bengals defensively, they've not been a great defensive team this season. They've definitely been a team you can beat so far this season in terms of fantasy points allowed to the running back position. They do rank, let's see, where's Cincinnati at? They rank, I think they've been more towards the bottom. Let me see if I can find them. Cincinnati, yeah, there they are. So they've averaging about 17 fantasy points allowed per game to running backs, which does rank about middle of the pack. But overall, this Bengals team has not been great defensively. They've been a team you can kind of run on, you can have success against. And even in a game script where maybe the Raiders get behind, I don't think that's the worst thing for Alexander Madison because he has still been out there catching passes even in a negative game script. And this might be a negative game script for the Raiders. They're going on the road. They're 7-point underdogs against the Bengals. But I'm fine with that. Even if the Raiders get behind, I think we're still going to see Madison on the field, running routes, catching passes. And if he's catching passes, that's going to be great for fantasy score because those points really add up when you get a point per reception. But he's also got a good role on the ground. He's got pretty much locked in for the goal line work. So if they get near the goal line, you expect Madison to be the guy getting those goal line touches, having the chance at a touchdown. There's just a lot to like about Alexander Madison's role right now. Not only is he getting really good volume, but he's also getting, he's got touchdown equity if the Raiders can get near the goal line. And just look at his projections this week. I mean, he's projected for almost 80 total yards, and he has a receptions prop of 3. If you give him 80 yards, 80 total yards receiving and rushing, and then you add on 3 receptions, that's going to put him at 11 fantasy score. And that's without factoring in any potential for a touchdown. I think Madison could score a touchdown here if the Raiders can get in scoring position, get near the goal line. And looking at kind of fantasy projections around the industry, the fantasy projections that I look at have Madison projected for about 13.5 fantasy points. And Underdog also has fantasy score projections. They have Madison's fantasy score line set at 11.75. And Underdog's fantasy score is different from Prizepicks. It's a half-point PPR, whereas Prizepicks is full-point PPR. So not only are we getting a little bit of a lower line on Prizepicks compared to what Underdog has, but we're also getting more favorable scoring on Prizepicks because we get a point per reception. On Underdog, you only get half a point per reception. So this 11.5 fantasy score line on Alexander Madison looks really good. This is a play that I do like a lot. And these are going to be our 3 plays for Sunday, guys. As always, you can play these how you want to. If you want to play them as a 3-pick entry, that's fine. I typically don't recommend doing that on Prizepicks because the payouts you get for 3-pick lineups are not good compared to where you could get elsewhere. I would recommend you take these plays. If you want to tail these, you take these, add a couple plays you like, and then do like a 5-pick or a 6-pick. That would be the way to go. But it's totally up to you. These are 3 plays, though, that I do like for Sunday's NFL slate. And again, guys, appreciate you watching as always. Make sure you hit that like button if you did enjoy. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And also, if you guys are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, make sure to sign up. Use promo code NOAH. And when you place your first lineup, you'll instantly get $50 in promo funds added to your account. So go check out Prizepicks if you guys have not yet. But that's all I got for Sunday, guys. Good luck on this NFL slate. Let's make some money, and I'll see you guys in the next one.